I'm Jack Dyer, and I founded WHB 7 years ago now. And we founded WHB because I was trying to connect the incredible beef animals that we produced on Barana with the dinner plate in the lodge. It kind of evolved from that, and then it became a lot more about trying to then connect the kind of quality grass-fed beef across to the whole market. And then as we were doing that, we just, being one of the producers ourselves, we wanted to bring as much value back to the producer as possible. So at the beginning, it was just me, and we were obviously supplied 100% by Barana because of the connection with Barana. But as we grew and we needed more and more supply, and with grass-fed beef, it's quite challenging because you're competing with the weather the whole time. We're able to supply us at different times of year from different areas. And then through the last kind of 7 years is culminated in last year we became vertically integrated. So we're now 100% producer owned. So now all the value goes to the producers, which is very, very exciting. And that's through the cooperative of our suppliers called AgWild. So yeah, we're 100% owned by AgWild, which is our producers. It's very cool. And yeah, we now have a really nice secure supply chain because it's spread across the whole of Laikipia. And yeah, we're able to kind of ensure traceability. And even the process of knowing exactly where your animals have come from and how we select them and the kind of quality, we do everything in-house now. So all the way from the breeding, the like calving rates, everything is in-house. So we can track a steak in WHB all the way back to its breeding lineage on the member farm that supplied it to us. It's really cool. So it's made a big part of my job much easier because now it's the members' responsibility to kind of tell us what we're getting and what the quality is and ensure that, rather than us needing to put systems in place, we are the system. Being the value add part of a production process, we process everything that our members produce. And it's important that we continue to do that because we've got to add value to every animal that comes off of the properties. And part of the way that we're able to get the best value back to the producer and also get the best value to the consumer is through our grading process. And grading in a lot of countries is done by the government, and all by a big third-party organisation, and there's a lot of trust. There's less trust here because it's done by the buyer or the meat processing facility. So it's been very hard for us in the past to be able to put in a system that works. But again, now that we are the producer and the processor with the system to do this. So we put in the grading to bring best value back to all the parties. And how that works is as the animals come through the facility, we use the grading metrics that are based on fat cover, fullness of the carcass, and then that gives us a first grade, which is not very subjective, and we've been trying to make it as unsubjective as possible. But there is a little bit of the guy who's picking it, it's his decision. So then from there we then do conformation measurements, which is we cut into the carcass at rib 11 and we measure the thickness of the fat on the eye muscle there to the millimeter, and then we have ranges, and where that thickness falls determines confirms the fat cover score. And then the size of the eye muscle area as a ratio to the size of the carcass tells us the yield and therefore the fullness of the carcass. We're going as scientific as possible, and every time we review the process, we try and add on another thing. We're going to start doing color and the pH of the meat and getting really scientific. It's super exciting. What it means is through that process, we're able to identify what falls into the prime and what falls into the select grade. And then we're able to reward the farmers and the producers by paying them more for their better animals. Whereas before we had a blanket price, we bought everything for the same. So now we're able to reward them for the quality And then also on the consumer side, we're able to give value back to the customer because we're not overpaying for some cuts that don't meet the same prime qualities. Here we use the kind of best practice slaughter process. Our process is in line with halal standards, and then it's just internationally best practice as well. It's as humane as possible. We clean the room preceding each animal's entrance, so there's very low stress, because stress equals adrenaline, which makes tough meat. So it's a very low stress process. And then we also use state-of-the-art equipment to make sure that the carcass is processed as quickly as possible into cold chain and as cleanly as possible, which is important because then when we go into cauldrons, we're obviously putting meat into a very controlled temperature environment, and we're aging some cut over 28 days. So the process of that is within the first 14 days, you have 90% of the enzyme breakdown has happened. So we're putting a carcass into 2 degrees, and during that first 14 days, the enzymes that were functional inside the cow are now functional inside the carcass, and they're breaking the cell structure down. From 14 to 21 days, there's still a little bit of enzyme breakdown, but it's radically reduced. And then from day 1 until whenever we pull the meat off the shelf, the other crucial part of the aging process is all the collagens that hold the carcass's structure together start to unwind. So collagen it's basically a very, very tightly wound spring. That's what it looks like on a cell structure, and it's what holds everything together from in between the cells, the bones, and for every living thing. It's very cool stuff. As you get older, it starts to unwind, which is why we develop wrinkles and things like that, and why beauticians try to sell you collagen supplement. But basically, without the body feeding those collagens, they start to unwind. And as they unwind, the meat becomes more tender. All of the structure that's holding it together is becoming looser, the meat's becoming more tender, but also all the flavor that's locked into the bones and into the fat and all these is slowly released. So the collagen breakdown is really cool. That's where we get the flavor from. And that's why we also push past 21 days, because at 21 days, the enzymes aren't doing anything anymore, but the collagen breakdown is. So that's what gets us the tenderness after that point. We can only age cuts which have enough sinew and fat encasing them. And it's why our grading process has become quite crucial now. It's why Select we only grade for 14 days. Because when we say 14 days, it's a minimum of 14 days. So we're doing 14 to 21. So the cut needs to have enough protection to go through this process in the air, because we're not vacuum packing it. So then part of the grading process helps us determine if a cut has got what it takes to go all the way up to past 28, or if it has to stop at 14 to 21. So in case you're wondering what's in the box, today we're making our smoked bacon. So this is hump that's been brined and is now being hot smoked. Yeah. Regenerative farming's better for the animal, better for the farmer, and better for you. Eat regenerative and eat responsible.